The final week of the regular season is upon us for NAIA football. We have a lot to talk about tonight. We're going to preview 48 games. We're going to talk at least a little bit about all of those games. I don't know, we're going to give an in-depth preview. That'd be like an hour long right then. And we have things to talk about because of what has come out today from the NAIA. The ARC rankings, not ratings, have come out today. And that is news that is off the field. Good evening, Michael. Thank you for watching tonight, man. And to everyone else, if you're watching, especially watching the live broadcast tonight, let us know in the chat from where you're watching, maybe who your favorite team is, who you're cheering for. I'm pretty sure I know who Michael is cheering for. He's already let us know. Go Kaiser Seahawks. We'll talk about the Seahawks here in just a moment. But let's go ahead right now and let me bring this up here so that we can get it on board early. The ARC, the Area Ranking Committee, the ratings, as is listed there, they're actually rankings, but they are listed there, and we're going to talk about that to get things going. So I don't know if you can see that. It is a little small. Sorry about that, but I took the PDF as it was. Roll Stangs from Jeff tonight, and Dave, I'm sure there's a Roll Stangs in there somewhere. Glad you're watching as well. We'll talk some Morningside, but let's get to these rankings, not ratings. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the winners and losers here really quickly before we get into the schedule. These rankings from the area ranking committees are what has a big say in who is chosen to be in the playoffs from each of these different areas. Now, Area 1, or the Area Ranking Committee 1, has to do with the Frontier Conference, the North Star, and the Sooner Athletic Conference. Of course, the North Star next year will be a part of the Frontier Conference, but right now, 3 conferences. Area 2, the Heart of America and the KCAC. Area 3, the Great Plains and the Mid-States. And Area 4, the Mid-South, the Sun, and the Appalachian Conference. So let's talk about Area 1 really quickly. And I'm going to give you what I believe are winners and losers according to this ranking right now, as it stands. Now, I realize there are still football games left to be played. And thank God for that. Number one, thank God for football. I mean, hey, listen, the regular season is not over yet. So we have more football to enjoy this weekend before we even get into the playoffs. Everyone still with one more game left to play. So that's something cool. But also, it's not determined on paper, or is it? And that's where we're going to talk for just a little bit right now before we get into the schedule there. Hey, Jana, thanks for watching tonight. And, of course, go Kaiser. We'll talk about Kaiser briefly as we get through here. But let's talk about these rankings here. From Area 1, Montana Western at the top, Montana Tech, Texas Wesleyan, Southern Oregon, Dickinson State, OUAZ, and Carroll. There are and can be 8 teams in that area ranking. They ranked only 7. So, I mean, it's just something that's there. I think the real winner from this area ranking committee and the ranking that is there, the winner, and by the way, I am not judging any of these teams. I'm judging their opportunities in the playoffs according to these rankings. So let's clarify that. Judging winners and losers, not the teams themselves, but the chances of making it to the playoffs according to these rankings. So here we go. I think the big winner in Area 1 is Montana Tech. Montana Tech in the top 10. Montana Tech with 2 losses right now, but still the number 2 team in the ranking. Now, I realize we are not always, and Josh Pate says this, and I want to echo that. You're not always what your record says you are. Montana Tech playing in a tough Frontier Conference schedule and taking on some tough teams. However, I think they're the big winner there. With those 2 losses, and it's going to be a challenge this week taking on the team who they're playing is at number 7 spot there in the ranking in Carroll. So I think Tech is in a good position. By the way, Montana Tech, 2 losses above a Texas Wesleyan team that is undefeated. So I think that says a lot about what the ARC, that ARC committee, or ARC, I'm not going to say ARC committee. That's a redundancy. The Area Ranking Committee. No. I think it says a lot for what that committee thinks about the Frontier Conference schedule and the Sooner Athletic Conference schedule. You have an undefeated Texas Wesleyan team at number 3, a 2-loss Montana Tech team at number 2. I think the loser in this area is OUAZ. Looking at number 6 right there, 1 loss on the schedule. You could be looking at an OUAZ team that is on the outside looking in. Now, I realize with 4 areas, and you break this down, there are 20 teams that will make the playoff overall. Well, the top 5 teams in each area are in good position, aren't they? Not necessarily, because there are teams who are not ranked in these area rankings that are going to make it anyway, that are conference champions. Kansas Wesleyan is going to make it, already locked up a playoff spot, not in these rankings. Whoever comes out of the Appalachian Conference, not in these rankings right now. So you're not, just because you're in the top 5, you can't feel comfortable. Dickinson State at number 5 can feel comfortable because it's already got an automatic bid. I think OUAZ could be looking at another season, tentatively looking at another season with one loss and on the outside of the playoffs looking in. Let's go to Area 2. The winners in Area 2 are the Hart Conference members. 1, 2, 3, and 4, all from the Hart Conference. So got some help there from the committee members who are ranking these things. All of them believe the Hart Conference is a stronger conference, and apparently universally believe that the Hart Conference is a stronger conference than the KCAC, because you have the top 4 teams in the KCAC, that are all 4 at the bottom of this particular ranking. Southwestern and Friends tied for that number 5 spot doesn't necessarily mean anything. Southwestern with 1 loss, according to this, and if Kansas Wesleyan takes somebody's bid and the Appalachian Conference takes somebody's bid, you could be looking. There's a scenario in which Southwestern wins and Friends wins, and Friends wins the automatic bid, having the tiebreaker. Southwestern at 10-1 could be on the outside looking in. Now let that sink in for just a moment. According to this, I realize there's another week, folks, and I understand that if you're on the area ranking committee and you listen to this or watch, please, I can put my phone number or email address in the in the description at the bottom of this thing. Give me a call. But I'm just teasing. I know you've got decisions to make on there. But there is a scenario, there are scenarios in which Southwestern is 10-1 and does not make the playoffs. So just let that sink in for a little bit. The winners in Area 2 right now, this is not the final area ranking committee ranking, but it's the final one prior to the end of the regular season. The winners are the Hart, the losers, the KCAC. In Area 3, I think the real winner here is Northwestern. Northwestern at 2 losses. This is a Northwestern team that for the season really hasn't looked the same as it did in the last 2 years in which it played in the championship game, but still coming along, having a good season, putting itself in a position to be in the playoffs for another year, even with those 2 losses. Northwestern, the real winner here, and I think St. Francis of Indiana is as well. The losers in this area, number 1, Marion. Marion also with 2 losses, taking on a tough St. Francis of Illinois team on Saturday. The loser of that game, I think there's no doubt, is on the outside looking in. But Marion, in that number 8 spot, has a ways to go to climb, not ranked according to the top 25 national rankings, not ratings. And so I think Marion's a real loser. There's another team I think is a loser in this ranking as well, and that's Taylor. Hello. Trojans are 8-2. One of the losses being to Indiana Wesleyan. That's not a bad loss. 8-2, and these are teams that this is a Taylor team that really has had a fantastic season. 8-2, could be 9-2, could be on the outside looking in, not even being in the rankings. Again, let me say, I realize you're not always what your record says you are, but Taylor's had a good season. And finally, from Area 4 really quickly, I think the real winner here is Southeastern. The Fire have had a fantastic season, just 2 losses, undefeated coming into Sun Conference play. And the Fire, being in the top 4 there, says a lot for them, and I think this is something that is good, that they have the opportunity still to get a playoff spot. If that were the case, because Kaiser's in. St. Thomas right now is in. And Southeastern could be the 3rd team from the Sun Conference. I think that would raise a lot of eyebrows that the Sun got 3, but Southeastern, the real winner out of Area 4. The losers from Area 4 are the Appalachian Conference as a whole. Now, none of those teams have an overall record to be able to get into the playoffs. Right now, Reinhardt, 9 consecutive playoff appearances with just 6 wins. With a win on Saturday would be just 7 wins. Not really a playoff resume, but still doing what it can to get into the playoffs according to playing in the conference. And just 1 loss could be a 3-way tie at the end of the day on Saturday. We'll see how it plays out. Pikeville, awful start to the season in crossover play there with the Mid-South Conference, but it's had a stellar finish to the season. We'll see. Point, same thing. Point has had a season that they have done what they need to do in conference play to be up there near the top and in the discussion, playing meaningful games, not only in November, but in the final week of the season. None of them are in that arc. So that's a challenge for the conference then, because that is what's set up to break the 3-way tie. So we'll see how it all plays out. Dave, not sure I agree with Concordia and Dordt. Concordia over Dordt or Concordia and Dordt in particular? I think it's a real challenge right there. I've been on the Bulldogs bandwagon most of the season. I like what's happening in Seward. I think if you really had to break it down there, yeah, Concordia is a winner in that situation. Dordt is not, and they both have the same 7-2 record overall, or 8-2. I believe it's 7-2 right now. 2 losses anyway around. Northwestern, Dordt, and Concordia all have just 2 losses on the schedule, same record overall. Agree. How do you make it right between Northwestern, Dordt, and yeah, but their records are all the same. Jeff, it's a valid point. Let's throw one up here. It's a challenge, but I think the real winner in the area is Northwestern, and there's a lot that goes to say here. I'll bring it up a little bit later on in the program. We need to go ahead and going into the schedule right now, but that's news from off the field. There's a lot to be done on the field right now, though. And well, not right now, but on Saturday, there's going to be a lot to be done. So let's go ahead and let's get into the schedule and talk about the games that are yet to be played. And there are a lot of those on Saturday. In fact, I have down 48 that are going to be played. Hey, Ashton, thanks for stepping in tonight. Get the brown and gold in there. Ashton going to be playing on Saturday as well. We appreciate you stopping by. So let's start with the first game on the schedule. We'll make it from east to west. We will travel as the sun does across the United States, as one does. And we will start with the Sun Conference. Ave Maria 3-6, Kaiser 8-0 on the season. Kaiser, the number 1 team in the country, no doubt about it. It's the 7th meeting between these two schools. The Seahawks are 5-1 all time, having won 54-7 last year. Ave Maria lost to Southeastern last week, a heartbreaker. Kaiser just took it out on Florida Memorial last week. 19 consecutive wins overall now for the Seahawks, the national champions last year, and 27 regular season wins in a row over NAIA teams. Didn't know if you had that there. So 27 consecutive wins in the regular season over NAIA teams. By the way, shout out Dave. No disrespect to either. Dordt beat Concordia, so I get that. I understand that. How is Dordt at 7 and Concordia at 5? Well, I will. I'll leave that part of the conversation with this comment. Nobody in Kansas City is asking my opinion right now, but I'm going to give it anyway. Well, we'll go ahead and throw it out there anyway. All right, Shea Spencer, Andrew Burnett. How about those guys in the backfield? Fantastic. And this is one of those things, too. When you have someone that can run the ball like Andrew Burnett and just piling up yards and yards and yards like what he's been doing for Kaiser this year, you also have somebody like Shea Spencer who's throwing the ball, completing 71% of his passes. That's good enough for second in the NAI. Plus the defense that Kaiser has been able to put out there. This is going to be a tough team to defeat, and it's a lot of experience coming back from last year's national championship game. Warner on the road at St. Thomas. We believe the number 5 team in the country is in the playoffs, and they would be because they are in the top 6, and the top 6 teams will automatically be seeds 1 through 6 over the course of this year. Of course, seeds, it's a relative term. It really is, because the committee doesn't necessarily set it up where, one's going to play 16 and two's playing 15, or of course, whenever they come out of that round, and necessarily who's going to be there. Seeds, it's a nominal thing. Okay. You take those top 6 seeds and it becomes nominal. It's like I talk about here regularly, whose line is it in anyway? I love the opening to whose line is it anyway. And it's, where Drew Carey would come out and say, where everything is made up and the points don't matter. That's right. The points don't matter. Like however many steps that Angel Reese decides to take before she decides to shoot the basketball, even on a layup. And even then she'll probably miss and grab the rebound and put it back so she can pad her stats. My point being that seeds, they're relative terms overall, because it's not a true bracket, it is a championship series. But St. Thomas is going to be in, taking on Warner on Saturday. St. Thomas, seventh meeting between the two schools. St. Thomas has won all six prior to this one, 73-12 last year. By the way, we're taking Kaiser over Ave Maria, and we're taking St. Thomas in this game. Number 19, Southeastern. We've already talked about them. They are in the ARC ranking, and Southeastern is, they're in good shape. They need to get a win, and Thomas could provide just that opportunity. The Fire at 6-2 on the road. Thomasville, Georgia. We're taking Southeastern on Saturday. And Michael's looking forward to a great Saturday. Kaiser Senior Day game. Hey, shout out to Wyatt, who is a senior. We need to get that done as well. Tell him I said hi, and I hope they have a good game. We're picking them on that day. Lincoln taking on Florida Memorial. Florida Memorial, the Lions, pretty much out of the playoff hunt right now. One more opportunity, taking on Lincoln from California. And no, I don't have the record up there for that. Couldn't find that record. Sorry about that. Anyway, here's where things get murky once again. The Appalachian Conference. Pikeville at 4-5, but having just one loss in Appalachian play. And so taking on St. Andrews. St. Andrews has lost a lot of games. As a matter of fact, they've lost 23 consecutive games. Pikeville trying to make it 24, having won the three previous meetings in this series. This is the fourth meeting all time between the two, and Pikeville won 68-0 last year. Lee Kirkland, fourth in the NAIA in passing. Amon Williams, fourth in the NAIA in rushing. Fans for Pikeville, by the way, are cheering for Pikeville and Bluefield on Saturday. Cheering for Pikeville and Bluefield. We're picking Pikeville in that game. We picked Florida Memorial over Lincoln as well. Reinhardt on the road in the season finale, taking on Union Commonwealth. Reinhardt 6-4. Union Commonwealth. The Bulldogs are 3-6, and Reinhardt has won all 9 previous meetings between these two. 10th meeting, we think Reinhardt's going to win. Puts the Reinhardt Eagles in a good position to try to get back into the playoffs for the 10th consecutive year. There's that number 10 one more time. Reinhardt fans are cheering for Reinhardt and for St. Andrews on Saturday, with all the tiebreakers in the Appalachian. And moving along, one more, Point in the mix as well. 4-6, taking on a 4-6 Bluefield team, but Point with just one loss in Appalachian Athletic Conference play. And the Skyhawks with a lot to play for. 10th meeting between these two programs as well. Point's won 6 of the previous 9, including last year 33-31. Point fans are cheering for Point and Union Commonwealth. So that's the one that the Point fans need to be cheering for if they were cheering for someone else to help break that tie. Kentucky Christian is at home. By the way, we're picking Point over Bluefield in this one. This one we think it's going to be a close one, but Point has a lot to play for. Skyhawks have a lot to play for, and so we're going to go ahead and take Skyhawks on the road. Kentucky Christian playing a Division III school at home. Brevard 5-5 on the year. Kentucky Christian 2-8 on the year. First meeting between these two. Both teams lost last week. Brevard, a Division III school, on the road at Kentucky Christian, and the Knights have had a good year so far. We believe, or had an improving year so far. I'd say 2-8 is not great, but I believe that the Knights are trending the proper direction. Jet Engel, if he sticks around, has the potential to help the Knights continue to get better. We are taking Brevard here in this game on Saturday. Let's move to the Mid-South now as we go to Georgetown on the road at Lindsey Wilson. This, at the start of the year, looked like a big-time game that you might see zeros and ones in the loss columns of one or both of these teams. It's been a tough year for both. Georgetown having locked up the automatic bid from the Mid-South Conference at 7-2 and undefeated in Mid-South play. Lindsey Wilson trying to play spoiler just a little bit as to seeing if they can knock down the Tigers' seeding just a little bit in the NAIA Football Championship Series. Georgetown on the road. We've talked about the defense over and over and over again, and Midwest Sports Net's picking Georgetown on the road at Lindsey Wilson. Campbellsville at 8-2, Cumberland's at 5-4. And Campbellsville, and I look back down at my notes here, in the area ranking committee, area 4, Campbellsville is at number 5. Now, again, you think 20 spots, 4 areas, the top 5 might have the best opportunity to make it in. Campbellsville in that number 5 spot. I don't think you can feel comfortable at number 5 because there are going to be teams that steal bids, like right even out of that area. I mean, the Appalachian Conference champion is going to take one of those bids. I don't think that's stealing a bid if you win your conference or your divisional championship. I'm just saying you're not looking at an extra at-large bid there. So Campbellsville probably cheering for a Southeastern loss to maybe see if they can move up there just a little bit, or a Georgetown loss to maybe move up a little bit. Anyway, we know Georgetown already has an automatic bid. Campbellsville 8-2 on the road taking on Cumberland's. 36th meeting between the two. Both teams lost to Georgetown in their last trip out. Of course, there was a bye week in there as well. Cumberland's won 41-38 last year over Campbellsville, and the Tigers trying to repay the favor. Faulkner at Bethel. The Wildcats are at 6-3 right now. 6-4-1 all time in the series, won 62-0 last year. We're taking Bethel at home in this one. To the Mid-States Football Association, Lawrence Tech 2-7, taking on Indiana Wesleyan 9-1. 7th meeting all time between the two. The Wildcats already have a playoff spot locked in, already a share of the Mid-East title, and 6-0 all time, 56-7 in the 2023 season opener. We're picking Indiana Wesleyan to take out Lawrence Tech once again. The Blue Devils lost to Concordia last week. And speaking of Concordia, this is one of those challenging games. Now, Taylor has a lot to play for. Taylor 8-2 on the season. Taylor has some offensive firepower, defensive firepower as well. We'll talk about a couple of those names here in just a moment. 8-2. Trying to make it 9-2 on the year. But Concordia is playing its final game, not just of the season, ever. Concordia is playing its final game ever. And a win here would give the Cardinals a winning record in its final season. Did I mention ever? So the Cardinals with a lot to play for. The Trojans with a lot to play for. Concordia 7-6 all time. This is the 14th meeting between the two schools. Concordia won last year 54-14. Concordia won over Lawrence Tech last week. Taylor won over Madonna last week, but everyone beats Madonna. Taylor led by Jamison Chesser, 19 rushing touchdowns, 4th in the NAIA. Jeremiah Mansfield, we talked about the defense. He has 12 sacks on the season, and Avon Jones has 121 tackles, period, this year. We're going with offense and defense favors Taylor in this one, taking the Trojans. Is it enough to get the Trojans into the playoffs? I don't think so. I think on the outside, looking in this next to the last area ranking committee ranking, I think Taylor's still on the outside looking in. It's just too much to try to overcome in that third area. But we'll see. We're still picking Taylor over Concordia. And a shout out, by the way, to the Concordia players, because they have just, that you stick around knowing this is the final season. You still make plans for the future. If you're a freshman, if you're a sophomore, you're making plans. You're trying to make sure that you have somewhere else to land when all is said and done and the dust settles there in Ann Arbor. But they played the season. They're 5-5 right now. Some good wins. Props to the Cardinals for continuing to play hard this season. Number 18 in the country, St. Francis of Indiana, 8-2, 4-0 overall on the road, taking on Olivet Nazarene. Olivet Nazarene been factoring into the Midwest play just a little bit, but St. Francis has already wrapped up the automatic bid. 4-1 all time in the series. They won 58-14 last year over the Tigers. Joshua Kulka, we've talked about him time and time again so far this year as we've been able to get back into our Sunday night top 5 performance live stream. Kulka is tops in the NAIA. He's completing 71.7% of his passes. So a lot to be said there for the Cougars. We're taking the Cougars in this one over Olivet Nazarene. From one St. Francis to another, this one is hosting, and Ashton has stopped by the program tonight. So St. Francis of Illinois, 7-2, 3-1 in Midwest play. Marion, 7-2, 3-1 in Midwest play. The winner of this game is in position for a playoff spot. Now, who's to say if it's going to happen? Let's go ahead and let me see if I can bring this back up here really quickly. Okay, Area 3, St. Francis of Illinois, number 6 in the area ranking. Marion, number 8 in the area ranking. You need a win and you need some magic. The loser of this game is going to be on the outside looking in, no question about that. The winner of this game could be in with a little bit of help. It's going to take some help because they're too far down the list right now. 10th meeting between the two, with Marion having won 8 of the previous 9, winning last time they played in 2022. Marion defeated Judson last week by 70. St. Francis defeated Olivet Nazarene by 25. I don't like going against the Knights, but in this case, the final opportunity possibly to have all those tumulties on the field at once, they're going to pull out all the stops. So we're taking St. Francis of Illinois in a close one here. Sam Tumulty, by the way, third in the NAIA with 20 rushing touchdowns on the season. Madonna has lost 40 consecutive games at home to close out the regular season this year. 5th meeting between Siena Heights and McDonough, and Siena Heights has won the previous 4 last year, 77-14. We're taking Siena Heights, the Saints, going on to get the win in this one. Defiance making its way into the NAIA, still playing that hybrid schedule with 6 of the 10 teams on the schedule being Division III opponents, including Bluffton. Bluffton 3-6 on the year, Defiance 3-7. We've been picking against Defiance for a while. This is the most often played opponent for both these teams. It's not going to be that way forever with Defiance going to the NAIA and Bluffton staying in Division III. 80th meeting between the two. Bluffton, 41 of those 80 or previous 79. Defiance, 38 wins. We're going to take Defiance. Why not? Close out the season. Yellow Jacks get the win there. We think that could be something to push them into NAIA play. Judson on the road at St. Xavier, and this has just been St. Xavier all the time. Only the 4th meeting between these two schools. St. Xavier 3-0 all time. Won by 52 last year. We're taking St. Xavier in this one. To the Heart Conference now, where now we get to start talking about some more meaningful games once again. Graceland at 7-3, Grandview at 9-0. The Vikings have won 59 consecutive regular season games. Grandview has won 59 consecutive Heart Conference games. Not all divisional games, but Heart Conference games. Both these teams are 5-0 in the Heart North. The winner of this game... Exactly. Let's put that up there. The winner of this game gets the automatic bid to the playoff. Grandview is going to be in the playoff any way around. They're going to get the at-large bid even with the loss, which, by the way, if Graceland gets a win here, there's a bid stealer right there. There is a playoff bid stealer right there if Graceland gets a win there, and there are lots of other teams that are hoping that doesn't happen that are cheering for Grandview on Saturday. A lot goes into this. 12th meeting between the two schools. Graceland's been our dark horse candidate all year long. If the Yellow Jackets have the full complement in place, it's a game. If not, it's Grandview's to just take out. 11-0 all-time against Graceland. 52-13 was the score last year, Grandview over Graceland. And we're going to take Grandview in this one at home to close out another regular season undefeated in regular season play. Props to Graceland for having a fantastic season. Could still get the win, but I think a lot depends on if they have the full complement of players. So we'll see how that works out. All right, let's move on. Benedictine at 8-2 on the road at William Woods, the number 9 team in the country. Benedictine fans are cheering for the Ravens and for Central Methodist. because of that three-way tie at the top of the standings. Benedictine at this point at number 9 in the country, if things don't change, at this point, Benedictine would get the automatic bid from the Heart South. Happened last year, three-way tie at the top of the standings. Benedictine, the highest ranked team, according to the NAIA National Coaches Rankings, not ratings. First meeting between the two, Benedictine all over Central Methodist last week, but Benedictine fans hoping for a Central Methodist win this week as well. Baker, the number 12 team in the country, 8-1 overall, hosting a Missouri Baptist team that I've mentioned before, and I'll say again, is on the rise in the Heart. This is of the 3 games that involve teams playing for a playoff spot this week in the Heart South. This one has the potential to be the toughest matchup. Baker at home, they're in Baldwin City. Truman Jules Guard, 65+% passing completion, 7th in the NAIA. Fans for Baker are cheering for Baker and for William Woods to pick up the win. That one's going to be a tough ask. But as it stands, William Woods does have one win on the schedule so far this year. The Owls in their inaugural season. Coach Mendez is growing something up there. Number 13, Mid-America Nazarene. Oh, by the way, we're picking Baker over Missouri Baptist. The Wildcats tough at home. Absolutely. Mid-America Nazarene on the road at Central Methodist. Mid-America Nazarene, the number 13 team in the NAIA National Coaches Ranking, not rating. Benedictine, number 2 in the area. Baker, number 3 in the area. Mid-America Nazarene, number 4 in the area. It is possible that 2 of these 3 teams could make it in. One obviously will with the automatic bid. Mid-America Nazarene has just owned Central Methodist. 44th meeting all time, 37-6 is the record for Mid-America Nazarene. MNU fans are cheering for Mid-America Nazarene and for Missouri Baptist on Saturday if they need some way to break the tie. 8-1 overall, we're taking the Pioneers. And there are a lot of seniors on that team that are closing things out. It's fun to follow their careers. So Peru State 6-2, St. Ambrose 3-7. We're taking the Bobcats in the first meeting between these two on the road in Davenport. We're taking Peru State to come back from the big time loss to, or they held with Grandview some with the loss to Grandview last week. William Penn on the road at Missouri Valley. William Penn, 3-6. Missouri Valley, 4-5. And the Vikings own a 9-6 record all-time between the two, having won last year by 5. That was in Oskaloosa. We're taking William Penn to return the favor on the road there at Missouri Valley. And we're going to go with the Statesman in this one. Clark on the road at Culver Stockton. Culver Stockton got the win last week over William Penn. 5th meeting between the two. Culver Stockton's 3-1 all-time in this series, having won by a touchdown last year. We're taking the Wildcats. Culver Stockton in this one. Let's move over then to the GPAC. And before we do, let me take just a moment, as we already have that up there. I'm just, making sure that people like Jeff and Dave are taken care of there, so we keep the Stangs up there for a little bit longer. If you haven't already, I encourage you, take the time, subscribe to the channel. We talk about small college sports and more here throughout the Midwest and beyond. I know it says Midwest in the name, but we're not locked in just to the Midwest. We go from coast to coast. We talk NAIA sports. We talk Division II sports. We just have fun. Hopefully have a lot of fun. And so I just wanted to encourage you, if you haven't already subscribed, please do. We're trying to get to another one of those little milestone numbers along the way. So we're pushing toward that, and just appreciate that. It's free. It's always free to subscribe. By the way, programming note here as I'm speaking on this Thursday night. Normally we have our live stream on Sunday night. Top 5 performances is what we normally do for NAIA football on Sunday night. Now I realize Sunday night they're going to reveal the playoff field, the 20 teams that made the NAIA Football Championship Series playoff field for 2024. I'm going to be on the road on Sunday night, so we're looking to have our panel discussion on either Monday or Tuesday with some different sports broadcasters across the country, and we'll see if that's going to happen. Just programming note, we will be sending some content your way on both Saturday and Sunday, and the broadcaster and me is getting an opportunity to get back out there. It's been a while since I've had a chance to call a game. Obviously, the health stuff this summer, which praise God, I'm doing so much better now. I'm thankful not only to be alive, but to have the opportunity to do this. But, it's just that time of year that we're getting to. So Saturday, I'll be in Fort Worth, Sooner Athletic Conference volleyball championship match. And I'm excited to be on the call for that. So Saturday will be out of pocket. And then Sunday, I'll be in Arkadelphia for the Great American Conference women's soccer championship match as well. And the travel back from Arkadelphia to where I am is it's a little bit of a drive. So it'll be a little bit later. But I'm going to be listening to, not watching while I'm driving. I know better than to drive on Arkansas and Oklahoma roads in the month of November and not look at the road, man. You gotta watch, because there are deer all over the place. So praise God, have never hit one. Don't plan on hitting one now. Believing that I'm going to drive safely the whole way, but I will not be watching the national reveal. I'm going to be watching it, or I'm going to be listening to it there. So, and Michael, by the way, there is a Southeast Sportsnet, and there is actually a Southeast Sportsnet channel, which I own, and there's a Southeast Sportsnet website, which I own. I just decided a while back to focus on one of them. There's some content, by the way, on the Southeast Sportsnet YouTube channel, but I decided a while back to focus on one, and then would just keep this name, but that we get everybody in there. But if you want to call it whatever you want to. I also, by the way, Michael, really quickly, as we get back into the schedule, want to let you know that I'm looking into shirts. I already have this week been looking into shirts, so that could be something. We could have some merch here on the channel. That would be cool. I've always wanted one of those little coffee cups. I always see those come up all the time in the store, like there's a little coffee cup. I want a Midwest Sportsnet coffee cup. So that's what I'm pushing for. Anyway, Morningside is going to be at home to close out the season. Did you know that? I'll bet Dave and Jeff knew that, and Dale as well. Morningside 9-1 on the year, 9-0 in GPAC play, taking on Dakota Wesleyan. 25 times these two teams have met before. You want to know what the record is between the two? Let's see if anybody knows this. Any of the Roll-Stang fans, do you know how many times out of 25 previous meetings with Dakota Wesleyan that Morningside has won? I'll let that sit for just a little bit and say Zach Chevalier, 351 plus passing yards per game, tops in the NAIA. 35 passing touchdown, tops in the NAIA. 68.7% completion, fifth in the NAIA, but that's pretty cool. And he can do that when he has receivers like Drew Sellen. 132.8 receiving yards per game, second in the NAIA. 12 receiving touchdowns, tied for second in the NAIA. Yeah, you can do that. And if you have a defense with players like Isaac Pingle, who is fifth in the NAIA, 10.2 tackles per game. I mean, you can do a lot with that. Morningside has done a lot with that. 9 consecutive wins after having lost the opening game, tough game to Benedictine, by the way. And I think that goes a long way to why the Ravens are as high in the area ranking committee and the top 25 national coaches ranking, not rating, as they are. Morningside. Well, Jeff and Michael both guessed 25. You're off by only 1. 24-1 all time. You have to go back a ways. The last time Dakota Wesleyan beat Morningside, 2002. I had only 2 kids at the time. I have 5 right now, 3 grandchildren, and 1 more that's coming in November. So it's been a long, long time since Dakota Wesleyan has defeated Morningside. 24-1 all time. We're picking the Stangs in this one for all the reasons that I mentioned just a moment ago. All right, Northwestern, number 10 in the country, at home against Briarcliff. 22nd meeting. This is where you can throw that 0 out there, guys. Northwestern's 21-0 all time against Briarcliff. Won last year 37-8. We're taking Morningside in this one, the top 10 team in the country. Dordt, trying to come back, trying to put points on the board this week. 7-2. Here's the chance to do it. Waldorf has had a rude greeting into the GPAC. I don't think it's going to stop this week. Dordt takes this one, moves to 8-2, still with an opportunity, a slim opportunity, as we mentioned earlier, but still with an opportunity to make it into the NAIA championship playoff field. Another team with a slim opportunity. Slightly better than Dordt's right now, though. 7-2 Concordia on the road at Midland. And this is a big game. Whoever said that, Dave said that a little bit earlier. This is one of the big games on the docket this week. 7-2 overall. And here's that number again, 7-2, 72nd meeting all time between the two. Midland 39, 31, and 1, the all-time record, won by 2 points last year. This could be a game, by the way, and you're looking at players that are among the tops in the country with the ground game. Now, I talk about Austin Jablonski and what he does. He's 5th in the NAIA in receiving yards, but how about the ground game between these two? Concordia with Mark Arp, 122 rushing yards per game. That's 5th in the NAIA, and Midland says not so fast. Tyson Denkert, 126.1 rushing yards per game, 3rd in the NAIA. This could be a short game. It really could. This could be a short game between the two because you put those players out there on the field and keep that running game going. I don't know that both teams want to shorten the game like that. We'll see. Midland at home owns the all-time record. Bulldogs with a lot to play for here. We're going to take Concordia in this one to try to keep things murky up there. And there would be, at that point, if all three of the teams we picked, Northwestern, Dordt, and Concordia, win 8-2, man, somebody's going to have a hard time there. Dave, you're exactly right. Both teams have good run defenses as well. This one could be fun. So I'll be following that along on Saturday for sure with some other games as we go after volleyball. Just saying. 2-8. Mount Marty 6-4. The Mustangs, first ever winning season. We're picking the Mustangs at home on this one. Mount Marty picking up the win over Doane to close out the season. KCAC fans, your time has arrived for me to say, hey, Southwestern could win this game, could defeat McPherson on the road. Braden Howell, big-time quarterback. Quarterback play for McPherson. Zabo, fantastic quarterback as well. But we talked about at the beginning, if Friends wins, Friends gets the tiebreaker among anyone else that happens to win, whether it be Southwestern or whether it be where am I talking right here? Southwestern, excuse me, or McPherson, whichever one wins this game, Friends has the tiebreaker over the other one. Southwestern could be at 10-1 and still be on the outside of the playoff field looking in. Just saying, not saying it's going to happen. There's a scenario where that happens. Southwestern tied for 5th with Friends in that area ranking committee. I think we'll just let it play out. By the way, on the road at McPherson, there is no fear in McPherson. I heard that said the other day, Jason Danley's show, and I appreciate that. I think too much Southwestern, too much defense. The defense that shut down Evangel last week, held them to just 3 points. I think too much defense for the Mound Builders on the road, and the offense is pretty powerful as well. Midwest Sports Stat is taking Southwestern for the win here to move to 10-1. And you know what? We're taking Friends for the win to move to 10-1 as well over a Bethany team 0-4 in Kessinger play. Or it should be 0-5 in Kessinger play. No, it's 0-4 in Kessinger play. The Swedes are a program. Well, the Swedes have a program that is on the rise. Just too much Friends here. All-time 69th meeting between the two. Friends won last year in the season finale, 68-6. Lot to play for and to try to get some people's attention in Kansas City. Evangel, we think that the Valor now are on the outside looking in, 7-2 on the season, 2 losses in Kessinger division play, but still on the road at Bethel, taking on the Threshers, who've gone to 5-5 now, got some wins there in divisional play. We're still taking the Valor to right the ship, close out the season well. We pick Evangel in this one, as this is just the second meeting between the two. Evangel won by 3 last year on the road in North Newton, a little bit tougher place to win, but we're picking Evangel. Kansas Wesleyan already locked up a playoff spot, 6-4. We have them over the Warriors, getting the win there. The Warriors in a bit of a transition season. We'll see how things play out in the spring and the summer for them. St. Mary, 1-8. Avila, 3-7. Avila, 6-0 all-time in the series. We're taking the Eagles to go 7-0 all-time in the series. Won by 27 in the season finale last year. Ottawa, a playoff team last year. The Braves have fallen upon hard times in 2024 on the road at Tabor. And we think the Blue Jays have a good chance to get a winning record this year. Won't be enough for a playoff spot, but we're taking the Blue Jays at home 46th meeting between the two. Ottawa's doubled up on Tabor in the past, having won 30 to just 15 Tabor wins. We're taking Tabor in this one. And we move on to the North Star Conference. A couple of games left on the schedule. Final week of the regular season for the final regular season of football for the North Star Conference. Dakota State 6-3. Good season for Dakota State. On the road, though, to close things out against Dickinson State. And the Blue Hawks already with a win earlier this year over Dakota State by 17. We think they're going to win this season finale at home. And Dickinson State still trying to get a little bit of attention. See if they can move up there a little bit more. Going to be playing in the second round. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And getting through that first 8 seeds, 17 through 20. Well, I don't think there's any doubt about that. I just don't think that Dickinson State's going to be playing in that early round. But at number 15, I think there probably could be some doubt. By the way, we've got cats here in the studio right now. And one of them is the zoomies are on big time. Hope that the camera doesn't get knocked over. I think it's been close 2 or 3 times. All right, Valley City State and Jamestown. Jamestown, not only the North Star going away, Jamestown's moving to Division II. Final NAIA football game, won earlier this year, 38-7 over Valley City State. 96th meeting between the two. We think Jamestown goes out on a winning note. We're taking the Jimmies in this one over Valley City State. To the Sooner Athletic Conference, Texas Wesleyan, still undefeated. Texas Wesleyan is going to the playoffs. The Rams are 9-0 on the road at Louisiana Christian. The Rams are at number 7 right now in the national rankings, not ratings. I would think that would be enough to get the Rams a home playoff game in the second round. I hope it's enough to get the Rams home play. I'm just saying, a team that's undefeated should get that. Texas Wesleyan, number 3 in its own area. In the area ranking committee from Area 1 has Texas Wesleyan number 3. Still football to be played at Louisiana Christian. And last year was the Wildcats that kept Texas Wesleyan out of the playoffs. Texas Wesleyan either needed to win against Louisiana Christian or to lose by 9 points or less. They lost by 10. But Texas Wesleyan has Ernest Caesar. Ernest Caesar has 33 rushing touchdowns this year. That's good enough for tops in the NAIA. He's putting up 25.3 points per game. That's good enough for tops in the NAIA. The Rams are scoring nearly 60 points a game. That's good enough for tops in the NAIA. Oh, and by the way, about Ernest Caesar, he has 33 rushing touchdowns, 5 receiving touchdowns, and a passing touchdown as well. He's completed his only pass he's thrown all year. He's 100% completion rating. No, I'm not picking Louisiana Christian after all that. Picking the Rams in this one to go 10-0. OUAZ on the road at OPSU. Ottawa of Arizona could again be looking at a 1-loss season and still with the playoff window or the playoff bubble being burst, whatever the case may be. Excuse me. We're taking Ottawa on the road in this one. Coach Miller has a good thing going in Oklahoma Panhandle State, but we're taking the Spirit in this one. Excuse me. Michael says, watch out for the Cats. I think you should watch out for the Cats, but I'm picking. There's too much for the Rams to play for this year. They're already in the playoffs. They need to keep it going. Nelson, the artist formerly known as Sagu, on the road at Texas College. The Steers with a winning record for the first time since 2005. We think that's enough to keep them going. We're taking Texas College at home. Nelson 12-5 all-time in the series, but we're taking Texas College at home in this one. Arkansas Baptist at 0-9. North American at 0-9. Something's got to give. This was the last game that I selected this week. Fourth meeting between the two. Arkansas Baptist 2-1 all time. Won by a touchdown in 2023. We think North American's going to even the series and pick up the win at home in Houston. There, we said it. All right. Wayland Baptist on the road at Langston. Langston, it's been a series of runs this year. Started off 1-2, had a winning streak going, had a couple of tough losses. Lions back at home in Anderson Stadium. We are going to take the Lions over a rising program in Wayland Baptist, but we're taking the Lions and Torrance Bardell at home in this one. Langston, 12-0 all-time in this series. We think that number is going to continue, and they take care of Wayland Baptist there in Langston. To the Frontier Conference we go, and it's number 4, Montana Western. Hey, we're going to get this in an hour. I hope. We'll see. Montana Western, 8-1. Eastern Oregon, 5-5. 36 meeting between the schools. Montana Western beat Eastern Oregon last year twice over the course of the season, 36-12 in the finale. Michael Palandri is just phenomenal, and we're going to take the number 4 team in the country to go to 9-1 with a win. That's the magic number for Montana Western. With a win, they win the automatic bid. So it's not done yet. There's potential for a 4-way tie in the conference standings in the Frontier Conference. We hope that doesn't happen. That would be a very Frontier Conference thing to do. But Montana Western, we have picked the Bulldogs here on Midwest Sportsnet since the outset of the season, and we're not going to change that now. Montana Western, we think they're going to beat Eastern Oregon on Saturday. Number 23, Carroll, who's number 8 in the area ranking, at number 8, Montana Tech. Carroll 7-2 overall, 6-1 in conference play. Carroll still with an opportunity to get an automatic bid. With a Carroll win and a Montana Western loss, that would mean the automatic bid from the Frontier Conference would go to Carroll. Jack Perka, 69+% completions on the season, 3rd in the NAIA, and that is with a strong running game as well. He is such a dual threat. Montana Tech has Lander Smith, who's had 18 rushing touchdowns this year, and he's been lighting it up on the ground for Montana Tech. The number 23 team on the road, Montana Tech got the win earlier this year at Carroll, 30-22. We're saying Carroll returns the favor on the road. We're picking Carroll in this one over Montana Tech. Next, and I didn't get the graphic up there. We got this graphic? There we go. Why wasn't that showing? I don't know. Anyway, there it is. Carroll on top. We're picking Carroll with the win. Southern Oregon, 8-2 on the road at College of Idaho. A great season last year. College of Idaho, not enough this year. 25th meeting between the two. Southern Oregon, 13-11 all time between the two. And Southern Oregon won earlier this year by 18. We think that's enough. Southern Oregon to go to 9-2 on the season, keep its playoff hopes alive. No playoff hopes for the Yotes this year. Rocky Mountain, 2-7 at Montana State Northern. And does Rocky Mountain beat the Lights? This year, everyone beats the Lights. So we're going to go with Rocky Mountain in this one. And finally, Simpson on the road at Arizona Christian. Simpson will be a part of the Frontier Conference officially next year, one of 16 teams. My goodness, that's going to be a big conference. Simpson, 0-8, has lost 8 straight. Arizona Christian, 1-8, has lost 7 straight. Something has to give in this losing streak. And Arizona Christian at home, yeah, it's an inaugural season for Simpson. We don't think they're going to get that win this year. I think it's going to happen next year. And there are opportunities next year for Simpson. We're taking the Firestorm at home in this one. And wow, we did it. 48 games, 48 graphics. They all got up there. We did it. We did it. We did it. How about that? And you know what? It was you all that did it too, because you made the journey with me today. Again, area rankings, if you haven't seen that already, go back, watch the first part of the program again. We're telling you what we think is there. There are a couple things as I close this out there. Number one, and these, I always try to do the positives. So at the end of the show, I'm going to tell you a couple things I would disagree with. Now, say it with me. Nobody in Kansas City has asked my opinion. That's fine. I'm going to give it anyway. Number one, it's frustrating when the automatic bid is determined by people and not on the field. So if your automatic bid is determined by where you stand in the NAIA national official coaches football rankings, not ratings, that's a challenge to me. I'd rather, point spread, whatever. There has to be another tiebreaker in all of this. And so that one's a tough one. It's also a tough one for me. Here we are all the way through the season, and there's still teams that I believe are ranked according to what I have affectionately called the Lifetime Achievement Award. There are some teams that keep their rankings up there high because of what they've done in the past. It happens on all level. You see it in Division I all the time. I see it in Division II on a regular basis. Don't really follow Division III. I see it in Division II. I think in volleyball, and I'll just come right out and say it. In NAIA volleyball, I see it in Division II volleyball regularly. But in NAIA volleyball, I see Lifetime Achievement Award going on a regular basis. Programs that have had great seasons, possibly national championship runs in the past. This season may not be that, but they still get ranked up there highly. And I think that happens to sometimes in the football field as well. And so that's where it gets to be a little bit tough. You should always rank teams on the season they're having, not on the seasons they've had. The rankings for this year should be the rankings for this year. And so I'm just going to drop those two out there. So we may talk about the Lifetime Achievement Award another time. We may, I'm sure we'll see what happens with the playoff field as it comes in. I want to say I'm cheering for the National Selection Committee. I want you guys to do the best job ever where I don't have anything to fuss about. So I hope that you do well. I'm sure that I'll have something to bring up next week when we talk about it, but that's okay. So that's out there. Dave, you agree? Thank you very much for agreeing with me. Jeff, thank you for that. I'll put that one up there to close it out. And Michael, yeah, we did it. We did it. So we did this together. I'm so thankful to all of you for being a part of the broadcast tonight. Those of you who are watching the live stream. And you know what? For those of you who watched this all the way through to get to this point in the broadcast, on the replay, you're an absolute trooper. And that you made it that far. I thank you very much for being there. So I want to give you all a shout out tonight. And again, programming note. Yes, let me see if I can get that one to come up there. Programming note. Okay. Saturday, I will be in Fort Worth, and we may do a short live stream, a Midwest Sports Saturday cameo from Fort Worth. We'll see. So looking forward to being on the call for the Sooner Athletic Conference Volleyball Championship match. Sunday, I'll be in Arkadelphia. Looking forward to being on the call for the Great American Conference Women's Soccer Championship match, and may do a Midwest Sports Saturday on Sunday. It's been known to happen. Cameo appearance from Arkadelphia as well. So we'll try to get that content out to you, and we'll smile about it. And if there's something fun to talk about and we need to break in and just do one out of nowhere, then we will do that as well. So thank you very much for watching tonight. I want to give a shout out to Mrs. Midwest Sportsnet for taking care of all the things that needed to be taken care of around the house today so that we could do this broadcast tonight. I appreciate her and love her as well. And you know what, guys? I don't have a problem saying love you. Love you guys as well. That's no problem. We can love one another. So I love you guys as well. Thanks for watching tonight. And we will see you very, very soon. God bless you all and have a great night.